Hello everyone! Thank you so much for coming to my channel. Resin Dragon here. So today I am going to be doing a 3-tier cake stand. And I've already mixed up my colors. If you have checked out the previous video that I released, it was on a tutorial on how to mix resin and how to mix in your colors. These are the colors from that video. So we are going to go ahead and make this awesome cake stand for one of my bestest friends ever, and I love her to death. It was her birthday not long ago, and I was supposed to have this made for her birthday, and unfortunately I didn't have it finished. So I am gonna go ahead and start it and surprise her, and so I'm gonna go ahead and just give these a real quick mix to make sure that they're mixed thoroughly. This particular color that I used is a sky blue mica and mixed with a midnight blue alcohol ink. So that's what this color is, and I just want to make sure that the alcohol ink is well mixed with the mica powder, because as I let it sit to thicken up, as you can see, it's nice, it's getting nice and thick. As I let it sit, it did start to separate. So I'm just going to give it a quick mix through and make sure that everything is going okay there. And then give my other two a quick mix just to make sure nothing has settled. After you do let your resin degas, and if you are letting it sit to get to a certain temperature or viscosity, it's just a good practice to make sure that it's, you know, thoroughly mixed before you pour. This is a white pigment paste from Dry Your Days Art Studio. And look at that. Isn't that such a beautiful white? Beautiful, beautiful white. And then this is the dark steel pigment paste from Dry Your Days Art Studio. A real shimmery steel color. Very beautiful. Just give it another good mixo there. All right, so I'm going to start with the small one. I'm also going to get out a little silicone tool here so that I could do some swirling. I practiced this on some coasters not long ago, and I think I posted those results on a YouTube short and asked people to vote, and she actually voted for the same color, which was the darker color scheme. So I'm going to try to go for the same type of effect, and hopefully it works out. I need to grab myself a paper towel. I've noticed that as I do some of these pours with these cups, since they don't pinch very well, I get a, blobbies, and I have to wipe them up. All right, so we're going to do some white first. Okay. And then we're going to do some blue. Okay. And then some of this dark steel. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, and then we're just going to repeat that pattern one more time, and we're going to do some white. That is looking really cool. Really cool. All right, my heat gun is all set and ready to go, so I'm going to put my color somewhere I won't dump it. Because this is a lot of color. I ended up mixing 750 milliliters total for this particular project. Alright. And you can already see it's starting to do some really cool stuff here. Let me see if I can zoom in a little. Yeah. It's already doing some super cool stuff. It's going to be a little bit loud. I apologize. I'm going to use a lower heat setting and a lower blow setting for now. So the first thing I want to do is really get in there and pop those bubbles. Most of them look like they've dissipated, so that's good. And then I'm just going to like move some of this color around into each other. Oh, it's kind of looking like a yin and yang there, isn't it? There we go. So it's already starting to do some really cool stuff. Now, I'm gonna actually take my tool, my silicone tool, and I'm gonna make like my own swirls too. This is what I did the last time. I kind of blew it around, and then I waited as it started to settle a little bit, and then I would go in and do like some swirls. So let's see, I think I'm going to let it sit a little bit longer before I try to do any swirls. I'm going to let it do its thing a little bit, see what it decides to do, and then I'll do the next one. I'll go ahead and start the next biggest tier. This is the smallest tier. Alright, and sometimes you could even like do this and like pick it up a little bit and alright, maybe a little bit more of the gray. We'll do it here in the center. Alright, let's see what we're looking like now. Much better, much better. Alright, so now we're going to take the heat gun and we're going to blow this guy around. And take a look. He's already doing some of his own thing over here, which is really cool. Alright. Move my pigment so that I don't dump it. Alright, and away we go. Pop those bubbles first and foremost. There weren't a lot because I let this resin sit, like I said, for about an hour. So there really weren't a lot of bubbles to begin with. Look at that. That is gorgeous. All right. That is looking pretty cool. So, I still have the largest piece to do. I'm gonna pull him over go, like so. We'll move these little guys out of the way, like that. And then I'll bring them back to show you when I do the little swirls and stuff. I'll bring those guys back over. But for now, let's kind of move them out of the way. And then we're going to slide our big boy in, like so. All right, and he is a massive one. So this is the bottom tray. I hope I have enough pigment. If not, I do have a bunch of clear left, so I can just make up more colors if I don't have enough. I've got some fuzzies in there. I cleaned him off before I started, but if you do get fuzzies, don't worry. Just use some packing tape and you'll be able to get the fuzzies off no problem. Sometimes they just come from my clothing or from paper towels, what have you, so you sometimes just get fuzzies around. Packing tape, stick it down, and it picks up everything. It's like a lint roller, basically. And you can see all the stuff coming off of it. Alright. This is a brand new mold. This is the first time I'm using it, so I don't want it to be ruined. Alright. It doesn't look like I'll need too much more, to be honest. I think it'll just be a little bit, maybe just a few milliliters of each, to be honest. I definitely do not need any more steel, so I think I'm good there. Alright, and then there's the blue. Alright, so I think we are ready to finish this pour now. Just going to make sure these are mixed really, really, really well one more time before I go in. Because the last thing I need is to have uncured resin because I didn't mix my colors well enough. Alright, so we're going to go in with the white. And then some more steel here in the corner. And I think we're pretty full because I can kind of see a little bubbling over here. So I think we're pretty full. Let's take a look from an eye level perspective. Yeah, it's looking pretty full. I'm just going to scrape some of this blue out of here. This blue, by far, is my favorite color of the three now. It used to be the steel, but man, this blue, it just does some really cool stuff, some really cool effects. Wait till you see it. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with the alcohol ink. But yeah, it does some really neat stuff. The way that the alcohol ink and the paste and the mica all react together is so neat. I mean, it's not always about the actual color. Sometimes it's about the reaction that happens. But, you know. A little bit more of the steel here. now we're gonna give it a good go with the heat gun, and then I will do some swirling because it looks like it's about ready after all these awesome reactions that are going on over here. Looks like it's about ready for some swirling. So again, I'm gonna kind of move these out of the way so that I don't dump them. I know they're almost empty, but you still don't want to dump them all over the place. Okay. Yeah, there was a really good amount of bubbles in here because I didn't let this resin that I added the color to, didn't let it really sit as long as the other ones, so there was a lot more bubbles, but we were able to get those popped, so that's good. Whoops! Got some of my heat gun and the resin there, got a little too close. That's not good, so just make sure if you get some resin on your heat gun, you wipe it off. Alright, I'm loving it. Okay, so now we're going to go back to these guys over here. We're going to take our silicone tool and we're going to do some swirling. So I'm going to move this guy back over there a little bit. Bring them back into frame. Okay, I'll start with this little guy over here in the corner. See what kind of cool designs we can get. There's a really huge white field over here, so I want to try to drag some of this color into that white field, and maybe even some of the white into the other field. So I just kind of like, see that? Just drag it in. And the cool part is that, you know, you got to make sure that you're using the right tool. If you use like a wooden stick or a toothpick, that's fine. Just make sure you're not touching the bottom of your mold because you don't want to scratch it. If you scratch your mold, that scratch is going to be in the bottom of your mold forever. So just make sure that you're really careful. Silicone on silicone, it doesn't matter. You can touch the bottom if you'd like. And, you know, just do what speaks to you. You know, there's really no pattern, nothing you have to follow. Just do what speaks to you. But like I said, this white field is just bugging me, so I'm going to try to drag as much color through the white as I can and make some interesting marks here. And then take some of this white and run it through. Oh, cool. Now, obviously, it is not going to stay this way. As the resin continues to cure, these colors will continue to move. So it's not going to stay exactly like how you swirled it, but you'll get a better result this way than if you just, you know, left it and left those negative fields in there. And you don't want to like swirl too much because then all your colors will mix together. You just want to get enough to where you get some really cool lines throughout the whole piece. I keep wiping it off because I, again, don't want the colors to like completely mix. And I don't want to get drippage either. I want it to kind of be where I want it to go. Oh yeah, I like that. So I think I'm gonna stop messing with it. I know that this side is kind of light and this side is kind of dark, but I sort of like it. So I think I'm gonna stay with it. My hardest problem that I always do is I continue to fiddle, and at some point you just gotta say enough, right? No more fiddling. And I think I'm getting to that point. So I'm going to stop. But I am going to go ahead and move on to this middle guy here. Again, we kind of have that same problem, right? We have so much white. I'm going to see if maybe I can drag some of this steel from the center out into that white field. And then maybe some of this blue from the corner. Oh, there we go. That was a really good swirl. I like that one. You could do shapes, you could do circles, you could do squares, you could do hearts, whatever floats your boat, or, just do weird little swirlies. So, I generally like to go very abstract, but that's just me because I like for it to tell a story and to kind of talk to me, Oh yeah, that was a cool one. That was a really big swirly. And if there's ever too much of one color, you can always, I could always pour a little bit more white if I wanted to down here into this black section. But I kind of like this, being that light and dark side. So I'm going to see how, I obviously want to integrate as much as possible, but I kind of like that, it being that way. You could even take some of the white, like I just did, like that, and place it over here. That works too. Oh wow, that is looking super cool when I do that. I'm going to try that again. I'm going to take some of this white and then just drop it in here. Oh wow. Yeah, that did really neat. This is fun. Okay. Again, I'm fiddling, right? I think I'm going a little too far. So I think I'm gonna let this guy go. I'm gonna do a little bit here at the edge because it's a little boring around the edges. A little boring. There we go. Okay, over over to this monster. This is going to be super fun because I'm going to have to do some really large swirls to get some of this into the white. I'm going to go like all the way around, take from back here. That's looking pretty cool. All right, now instead of doing how I was doing over here with the white to the black, I'm going to try to take, or the white to the steel, I'm going to take some of the steel over to the white. How does that work? Not as cool. I'm going to try one more time. Maybe I just was a little foobar. Let's see how. All right, that did something. Yeah, definitely not as cool. All right, let's keep going with the white in here and the blue to kind of break up some of this darkness over here. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, take out these edges, make them a little less boring. Alright, let's grab some of this white and bring it over into the black, or into the steel like we did before. And when it's thicker, it's easier to manipulate. You can see I was able to like pick that up with the stick. If it was thin, I wouldn't have been able to do that. It would have just flowed right off the stick.
Welcome back, everyone. All right, so it is 2 days later. This particular resin actually only takes 24 hours to cure, but I waited 2 days because I actually had a migraine yesterday, so I didn't really feel like doing this and filming and all that jazz. So today we're gonna go ahead and unmold the cake stand that I made, that 3-tiered cake stand. I'm not sure which side I'm gonna use, so I think the top side, but I would like to unmold it for a surprise to see both sides before we choose. So without further ado, let's peel this puppy off and see what we have going on here on the back. Okay, it's not as terrible as some of my experiments that I had done earlier with this particular technique. So it's not as bad, but if you check the front, this is absolutely gorgeous. So I do enjoy the top side better than the bottom, but at least the bottom's not ugly like the other ones that I did. So I'm definitely going to use the top side. So this is the top tier, so the smallest one. So this is the top tier. And I'll go ahead and put this to the side, and we will bring out the next tier and peel off the back and see what we think. Now, because I want them all to somewhat match, I guess I have to use the top side of all of them, but I'm still gonna peel it back so it's a surprise. Okay. Again, the same kind of, you know, weirdness going on in the back, but it's not terrible, just not liking it 100%. But the top, I think, came out beautifully. There's some clouds, there's some swooshes, I don't know what you want to call them, but there's just all kinds of awesome striations in the top, and that's why I love it so much. It's got so much eye appeal, I guess you could call it. So far this is the top, this is the middle, and then here is the big mamba jamba, the bottom one. And let's peel this off. Oh wow, he's really on there. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Just got to get a good piece of it off. And that just comes out super easy. I've never had something demold so easy before. This one, the back came out a lot more beautiful, I think, than the others. But we're gonna, for the sake of consistency, go with the front. And we'll flip it over. And that's what we got. Wow. So yeah, again, I think that the top piece or the front piece was definitely the more interesting, the more, it has more eye appeal than the other side. Though I don't hate it. I like this side better. So let me know what you think, and we're gonna go ahead and assemble this as well. I have all the hardware and everything here, but I may have to do some finishing work before I actually give this piece away to my friend, but I may have to do some of that. But I'm just gonna do a quick assemble and just to see what it looks like very loosely. So it looks like the bottom is a screw with a little foam washer, and you don't have to like screw anything in. Supposedly it just goes right on through. And it does not. Okay, let me see if I can get it back out now because it's kind of in there. All right, pulled it back out. Let me try it one more time. Maybe I went in a little cockeyed. No. All right, so it's not gonna go all the way through. So yeah, I definitely am gonna have to do some sort of finishing work to get this in here. Well, when I get the finishing work done, we'll come back and we will assemble once we get that done. And thank you so much for joining me. Let me know which side you like in the comments. And I'll catch you guys later when I get that done. And we're back. Thank you so much for joining me. And I went ahead and did up some finishing work on these pieces so that we can assemble them finally. I did some deburring on the sides because they had some edges there. And if you haven't already gotten one, a deburring tool is one of your bestest friends ever when it comes to edges. I just happened to buy one from Cobalt, but there are many different manufacturers, including some craft stores out there that sell this. And you basically just edge it and those sharp edges are gone. So it saves you from having to redome some projects. Then I wanted to point out too that the screw that goes into the bottom of this will not actually sit flush with the bottom. So you're gonna have some rocking. And I looked up on the internet and I found a couple different creators who had some awesome solutions, which I also had thought of. and I saw that it worked, so I asked my hubby for some help. He had a Dremel tool that has an attachment for milling, and it's a very small little tool, and he ended up milling out some of this bottom for me where the screw goes in so that it will sit a little bit more flush. It won't sit exactly flush even still, because if we were to continue to go deeper, it wouldn't have left enough room really. It just would have been too thin. So now that I have that all bored out and my screw fits finally, we can go ahead and get this in here. Now he told me to just make sure that I used a little bit of tough love to get this screw in here. So that's what I'm gonna do. All right, there we go. Some tough love made it work. So it's still not gonna sit exactly flush, but it is much better than what it was. And to be honest, it's a little off. There we go. There, I had to get the washer all the way in there. All right, so now that we have that in the bottom, we're gonna place another one of our little protectors over that. And then the next piece just screws right in. And he actually recommended that I use a screwdriver to hold the other side, which is a really awesome idea so that it doesn't turn. So we're gonna hold that steady there, and then we're just gonna screw in the tier, okay? Pretty simple so far. If I can do it, it's simple. And you don't want to give it torque, you know, you just want to get it hand tight. You don't have to give it too much. And then now we're gonna do our second layer. Okay. These ones popped through pretty easy. Yep, there they go. Popped right in, and it's sitting flush. And we're gonna put on another little cushion, little protector guy to help protect the resin. Now, because that one's already screwed in, you should just be able to screw this in by hand, no problem. There we go, by hand. And that's nice and secure. Okay. There we go. And then the last tier is the very tippity top, this little guy. Make sure he is down flush. We're gonna use another one of our little stoppers here to protect the resin. And then we're gonna screw in the handle. So really not a lot of fancy tools needed, to be honest. If the bottom of it doesn't bother you, you don't have to do it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it just made it a little bit more sturdy by doing it that way. But you don't have to. I mean, the rest of it is just a screwdriver and your hands. So that was pretty simple, and I'm gonna take some pictures with my phone. That way you guys can see how this came out, because I am filming at a downward angle. But I will go ahead and take some pictures and include them in the video as well. But I'm pretty happy with how it came out, and I hope that you guys like it. If you do, please drop a like in the bottom and a comment, let me know, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. All right, so until next time, why don't you pour one for me?